Today, little Loop, I'm gonna tell you the story of the worst movie ever made, Troll 2!
Isn't it about goblins?
It's called Troll 2.
But it's goblins.
Shut up and sing me that song I like so much.
Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, merrily.
Now we dance!
Go away, monster! Behold the power of my double bologna sandwich!
And now that we've purified our intestines, you know everything there is to know about the worst movie ever made!
I'm just gonna go watch Ernest Scared Stupid because at least there's trolls in it.
Loop and Larry is 30 episodes old. As everyone knows, when a podcast turns 30, the only way to celebrate is by watching the worst piece of garbage that Hollywood's ever turned out. And since you're such a valued listener, you get to endure a geeky discussion about how not to make a movie. Right here on Loop and Larry, Guardians of Geek.
In a world filled with intergalactic space battles, metahuman destruction on a global scale, and psychopathic serial hauntings, there's only one team who can make sense of it all. When your world is overrun with rampant pop culture, call Loop and Larry, Guardians of Geek.
Oh, the comfort of the explosion.
It's a COVID explosion right there.
It just brings me all the warm fuzzies.
Hey, I'm Loop.
And I'm Larry.
And it's Guardians of Geek. We are in week whatever of the coronavirus.
I feel like it's like 2,800
Oh
days?
God, I don't know. I honestly, I've forgotten so many things, just general days of the week. Half the time I think Tuesday seems to be the day I'm always going to. It's I think it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'm stuck on Tuesdays for the rest of my life. I don't know what's going on, but it's
we've now actually lost track of time. Last week, my wife and I started preparing dinner, and we had it all good to go, and we were ready, and we called my son and said, "Okay, it's dinner time," and he called down and said, "It's 4:24." And neither of us had any idea. We literally did not even realize that it was not even 4:30 and dinner was done.
It's horrible. I just don't know what day of the week it is anymore. It was my anniversary the other day, and I just totally I know what date my anniversary is. I just forgot what day of the week it was. I was just generally we're.
So this worries me about retirement, the retirement years. How is that going to go?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Retirement could be 2 days from now for all I know. I don't know what year we're in. I don't even know anymore. It's we need a do-over of 2020, that's for sure.
We really do. A complete reset.
Oh, my God. All the things were, all I could think about is all the things I've missed. All the Comic-Cons and things that we're going to miss and until things get rolling again. But
there have been. There have been a couple of Comic-Cons that we usually go to that are canceled. We talked about Geek Fest that we're not going to be able to attend this year, and Niagara Falls Comic-Con has been moved, and it's still up in the air about Fan Expo in Toronto. That's still up in the air. They haven't officially canceled that yet.
Yeah, and it's at the end of August, so that one I feel like might be all right. But then, what do they do? Because you can't. That's so many people packed into one place.
That is literally shoulder to shoulder people.
Yeah, it's they can't sell. They'd have to sell half the tickets, but then they can't afford to put it on. So I don't know. It's one or the other. I don't know what's.
Well, and the thing is that people have already pre-purchased tickets. I already have my tickets. I think did you buy your tickets already?
I haven't bought them yet. I usually buy them a little bit later.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I don't know what happens to people who have already bought. I don't know. I have no idea how they're going to work this, but it's going to be interesting to find out.
It'll be weird. So what have you been up to? What's happening? What are you interested in? What's going on?
There are still shows out there that are popping up that are getting intriguing me and giving me things to do. But the thing that I'm really into right now is season 2 of Penny Dreadful. Did you watch the first season of Penny Dreadful?
No. How many seasons were there of Penny Dreadful?
Well, this is only season 2.
So there's only been one season of it?
There's only been one season.
I feel like there was like 4 seasons. I don't know why.
Nope, there's just one. So
Okay.
the last season it took place in like Victorian England, and it was all about the classic like Universal monsters.
Right.
So it was like Frankenstein and Dorian Gray and like all these. It was awesome. It was like literally one of my favorite shows of that year. It was so well done, and so I was super excited that they were releasing season 2, and so season 2 just dropped. A second episode just aired like 2 days ago. So and it's right now it is my new favorite show.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's fantastic.
Does it continue from the first season, or is it?
No, it's totally different. They're like American Horror Stories.
Oh, so it's like a new volume of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this one takes place in 1938 Hollywood.
Oh,
so
nice.
it's like so it's like like the golden era of Hollywood, but and it's really really cool. But it's basically about the Day of the Dead. So it's like sort of Mexican horror stories.
Okay.
But it's a really cool setting, and it's really atmospheric. I think it's great. Excuse me, 2 episodes in, and I'm hooked.
Oh, that's awesome. Maybe I'll try to check that out because I wanted to watch the first Penny Dreadful, but I swear to God, I thought it was like at least 2 to 3 seasons.
Nope, just one.
Did that have Timothy Dalton in it? The first season?
Yes.
Okay. I remember it and everything. I just didn't know if it. I just assumed it was more than one season. But okay, I have to check that out.
No, and it's one of these. It's like American Horror Story. So there are some of the same actors from the first season appear in this season, but just as totally different people.
Different people. Okay. Oh,
yeah,
cool.
So
Excellent.
So it's on FX, and it premieres. I believe every Monday. It's either every Sunday or every Monday. But yeah, on FX. It's great. Highly recommended. Big thumbs up for that one. So that's keeping me busy.
Awesome. I've been finishing up all the shows that I watched the end of what is it? Breaking Bad. What's the sequel to that?
Better Call Saul.
Yeah, Better Call Saul. I finished that up, and it was this season was incredible. It was such a good season.
One of the best seasons yet.
Yeah, it was so good. And then I finished watching Dispatches from Elsewhere.
How's that?
It was really good. The end episode is so bizarre. It's very meta. Let's put it that way. It's very meta. So it's but I enjoyed the series. Like it was just a cool story and a neat series. And I also end up this isn't really, I wouldn't put this in the geek category, but I finished Empire.
Oh, right.
And I just wanted to mention this for a second because the only reason I'm mentioning it is because they never had a chance to finish their last episode because everything broke out before they finished filming it. So they tried to like combine a few things they had shot with the second last episode to make a final episode. But it did not land. It was it felt really awkward. Like it felt like they were trying to like jam some stuff in, and it also felt like it just the way they shot it just didn't work. And I feel like they had more to say for a final episode. And the show was ridiculous as it was, but what scares me though is like other shows that maybe will be in the same situation, or other shows that won't be able to film because they're gonna have there's gonna be a delay this fall. Because all these shows would normally be probably starting to shoot already and getting into production, but they can't. Yeah,
I don't know what the fall season is going to look like. I haven't heard. I've heard of shows being canceled. Like there are that new show Tommy with Edie Falco. Yeah, it was canceled after I don't even know if it made it a full season. Yeah, but so they've started to announce cancellations, but I haven't heard any renewals. So I don't know what is going to happen this fall.
Yeah, because I don't think Survivor's happening this fall. I think it was canceled as well because they just couldn't shoot it. Like there was no way of doing it. So
yeah, that's right. And like a lot of shows like that, like The Amazing Race. Yeah, I don't think we'll see that for a while.
No, I don't think so. Some of those shows will definitely be hurt by this whole thing. But so the last couple weeks, I've been because we've been in isolation, I've been just sort of like going through stuff of mine and kind of rearranging things. And I decided, because we had been talking to David Weiner about the documentaries, the horror one that we watched and that, I decided to make a horror section in my DVD collection. I've got a lot, as you know, I have a lot of movies.
Yes.
So I was a little surprised at how few horror movies I had. I have a lot, but I have a lot contained into box sets and stuff. But there's a lot I didn't have, and a lot of those ones I had been kind of jotting down, like I said in the last podcast while I was watching the doc. So I've got some coming from Amazon, and
Okay.
and I got to beef up this horror section. I was not pleased with I had enough, but I didn't have I think I'm gonna beef up the '80s horror of my horror section now.
Yeah. Well,
that's my new that's my goal now.
That's the
Larry.
essential horror right there.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you're gonna beef up anything, beef up the '80s horror.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just kind of I'm a little obsessed with it now. So that's my newest thing. But anyway, so do you want to get going on this little thing we like to call the Pop 5?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah.
What's hot? We'll tell you what's hot. It's the Loop and Larry Pop 5.
Oh yeah. love the corn popping at the end there.
It's great. It makes me hungry.
Well, I'll jump into number one. Our first thing on our Pop 5 is this is just a rumor, mind you,
Okay.
of Disney buying WWE.
That is the most bizarre rumor ever.
Yes. So this is where it all sort of stems from. So WWE, like every business right now, is struggling.
Right.
WWE has a bunch of deals with different places to air. Like Fox, they have SmackDown on Fox, and they've got Raw and USA and things. And so they have deals with them that they have to do new programming every week. So and I think they can get away with a few tape shows, but they generally have to do live. So they've been doing these shows live at the Performance Center in front of no audience. And that's how they've been sort of going on, and so they're still entertaining, still doing things.
Right.
They have a pay-per-view this weekend where they're doing, depending when you're listening to this, it could be done by now. But they're doing a pay-per-view where they're doing their annual ladder match where they grab the suitcase. I can't remember what it's called. It's off the top of my head. I can't remember. But anyway, so they have to climb a ladder, grab a suitcase, and then they can cash that in anytime for a title. They're doing it on top of the WWE building. So I think the match starts at the bottom of the building. They have to fight their way up to the top, where there'll be a ring on top of the building, and then they fight up there.
Like they have to go up stairwells and things?
Yes.
What if somebody
it's Money in the Bank? That's what it's called.
What if somebody just decides to take the elevator?
I'm assuming the top's pretty big. This is like their corporate offices. That's where they're going to be.
Oh.
They're just trying different things to shoot, because they can shoot at any time, right? There's no audience, so
Right.
So I think they're just trying different things to get people to watch. Just different types of matches. So
I'd watch that. It sounds like, you remember the Korean movie The Raid?
Yeah.
It sounds like that. It sounds
So-
like you're gonna fight through a big skyscraper and
So ratings are down anyways. They just laid off a bunch of people, some wrestlers and that the WWE did. And so the rumor is, and this was I don't know, this is just a rumor, 100% a rumor, that ESPN and Fox are both interested in buying the WWE. But they're both owned by Disney, so that's how it would work. It's way down. So I don't know. It could. I don't know if that would happen or not. I think that's far fetched, but it's a rumor that's circulating out there in the wrestling community that this could be a potential thing that could happen. But
I'd love to see a WWE match start with that classic Disney animation with the Disney logo and the castle coming out. It's all family friendly.
And Tinkerbell floating around oh my god! And then Tinkerbell getting drop kicked.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a rumor, but I found it very interesting because Disney's just sort of slowly under their companies that are below them, buying things out, right? So,
yep. Well, and they do have ESPN, so. I guess that it would make sense because that's who could pick it up. They could actually air this stuff. So I suppose it makes sense. It wouldn't necessarily have the Disney branding on it.
Yeah,
maybe.
Both ESPN and Fox have been Fox has SmackDown already, is airing that with a deal. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. It's just they need to. Right now they can only shoot it in Florida because Florida actually gave them the okay to shoot wrestling there.
Right.
Because it's not an essential service. But there's also some sort of back deal too. With Vince McMahon's wife, Linda McMahon, where she donated a bunch of money to somebody. So it was a whole thing. I don't know what's going on. It's so convoluted, but
wow. Well, if Disney's involved, it's
again all rumors.
all rumors. Well, we'll keep watching that one.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but it wouldn't surprise me.
No.
So what do we got for number 2?
Okay, well, segue right from Disney into Disney.
Yes.
We can't go a single podcast without Larry talking about Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. No, well, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, so I've got a few Star Wars tidbits that I dug up that are pretty exciting. So we've got right now they're in a bit of a hiatus with their movies on the big screen.
Yeah.
But they are planning the next round. And the big announcement that just came out was Taika Waititi
Yep.
is on board to direct the next Star Wars movie. And I believe that they said that it could be in 2022, coming out in 2022.
Wow.
This is a big deal because he's amazing. Like after Jojo Rabbit,
Yeah.
he's a lock for me as far as one of my favorite directors. So, and he also did Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And he was also the voice of IG-11 in The Mandalorian.
Oh, that's right.
So yeah, so he's got his foot in the door with Star Wars.
I think the new one's called Jojo Akbar. So
Oh,
it's
really?
yeah.
Oh,
It's the subtitle. It's a trap.
Yeah,
So
no,
it's
I'm not interested anymore.
What? Ah, man. One day, I'm still mad at Admiral Akbar dying in the second Star Wars.
I know.
I'm still angry about that.
And it was so quiet. Like it just and the explosion, and he's dead.
Yeah, no.
Like, yeah, there should have been a little bit more with that
We
one.
need to redeem that. Mandalorian almost did it, but not quite.
Yeah. Well, you never know. You
Yeah.
never know. So that's a big announcement. That one's coming. And then second announcement, it's another film that's in the works is being headed by Leslie Headland, who was the co-creator of Russian Doll.
Yep.
The show on Netflix with Natasha Lyonne.
Yep.
And apparently this one, I'm really excited about this one. This one is a martial arts-based Star Wars movie. They're saying it's an action thriller with martial arts elements.
Oh, wow.
And so I have a big thing with Japanese culture and martial arts and Star Wars because George Lucas originally created Star Wars because he was inspired by a number of Japanese movies, like samurai movies.
Yeah.
So if you look at Star Wars, it's very samurai looking. Like lightsabers are essentially just swords. The stormtroopers look like samurai with their outfits, and Darth Vader. So there's a big connection to samurai culture in Star Wars. And one of my very favorite characters is Chirrut Imwe from Rogue One.
Yep.
Who is very much a martial arts sort of inspired character. So to have a movie a movie or I don't know if this one is a movie or a series. But anyway, to have something that is actually martial arts based is amazing, and it's also female centric. This particular one.
That'd be cool.
So yeah, so there's rumor that it could be potentially an Ahsoka Tano spinoff.
Oh, that would be really cool.
Which would be amazing. She's my favorite Star Wars character.
Yeah.
So to have an Ahsoka Tano story that's martial arts based, that's as good as it gets for me right there. So and they have confirmed that Ahsoka Tano is going to appear in the second season of Mandalorian.
Oh, wow.
Played by Rosario Dawson.
Yeah.
So because that character is coming to this a live action version, it's quite likely that they will make a spinoff because she's so popular. So that's a big deal.
The all female movie, is it going to be called Fox the Force 5?
Yeah. Yes. That was actually pretty well done. I can give you that one.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was good. So whenever you can throw a Tarantino reference in there, that's pretty good. That's awesome. Okay, yeah, so that's coming. And then finally, on the Star Wars front, Mandalorian Season 3 is already in production.
Wow, that's awesome.
So they're moving right ahead with all of that.
I love Mandalorian. That's such a great series.
So good. I've started rewatching that. That's another thing I'm doing. Is doing that. Oh, and I should have mentioned this earlier. The thing that I'm finished that is keeping me busy. I finished season 7 of Clone Wars, the new season, the final season of the Clone Wars. Fantastic.
I just finished season 2, so
okay. Well, just keep watching.
I'm gonna keep trotting through it.
It is literally like some of the best Star Wars storytelling of all time. Yeah. It is so good. Like you won't even believe. So yeah, I'm all about all the Star Wars stuff.
I will tell you from season 1 to season 2 of Clone Wars, as we're watching, my son and I are going through it. The storytelling in season 2 is way better than season 1. Season 1 seemed really like all over the board. Season 2 is like much better story arcs that are way more interesting, and you get way more into the story and the characters and things like that, and more emotional. It's just the series, and I can tell it's going to get even better from there. So I love it so far. So
it does. And season 5 is like unbelievable. Like you'll start learning things about characters that you had no idea. And it's so good. Like it just keeps getting better and better. It's really an amazing accomplishment.
Oh, I can't wait.
So, yeah, you're gonna love that one. So there you go. There's my Star Wars update.
There's always a good Star Wars update.
And now the podcast is done.
Yeah, there we go. So number 3, speaking of some of the greatest series of all time, I mean, I would put this up here with probably The Godfather, and probably Star Wars and Indiana Jones, is a new G.I. Joe movie in the works. So I'm a huge Joe fan, and I'm excited anytime I see anything with G.I. Joe. Now, there is a Snake Eyes movie that I think is coming out this year.
It's supposed to be October.
Yeah, so which is Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins. And of course, it's so funny. I think I mentioned this a while ago, but I'd watched last year the whole G.I. Joe series, like the original 80s series, to the first 2 seasons. And Snake Eyes is hardly in it. Like, it's really funny because I was like, the second season, I think he only appeared in a couple episodes. In the first season, he was like a big part of one of those mini series, but then he was only sporadically through the rest. Like, he wasn't like a major character in like most of the episodes, which I found really weird because he was such a big character.
Right, but he's really cool looking, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, I don't know why in the cartoon. Maybe in the cartoon because they were all kind of animated all at the same time and written at the same time. They never knew that he was going to be such a cool character. Like maybe he didn't become kind of big till later on or something. But I don't know. It was kind of weird. But anyway, so they're working on a new movie. They're going to kind of reboot the G.I. Joe franchise. And apparently the first two combined made $678 million worldwide at the box office, which kind of surprises me. But the second one, I forgot the second one was packed too with all these like extra stars. I forgot The Rock was in it, and I think Bruce Willis was in the second one too.
Really?
Yeah. So
I remember you and I went to see the first one in the theater when it came out.
Yeah.
And I remember I think I might have fallen asleep. I never saw the second one.
The second one wasn't bad. The second one was better than the first one. But again, I don't know. They've got all the source material to work with. I feel like it should be almost more a comedy than an action movie, like an action comedy, and make the characters ridiculous like they are in the cartoon. Because there's really no other way to do it. But like they haven't even done Corporate Commander properly. Like it's like they don't have like I want to see the mask and I want to see them look like Corporate Commander. They got all these cool outfits. They don't use them in the movie. Like it just seems weird. So.
Well, hopefully they give it a reboot with this Snake Eyes situation.
Yeah, I just want
all over again.
It's the tone of it. Like the tone's off. Like they're trying to make it in this action movie, and they only use like 5 Joes in each movie. Like they're missing so many different characters they could be using, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if this Snake Eyes thing works out, then maybe it'll launch the new franchise. And
this could be the new Marvel universe.
It could well be
the Joe universe.
The Joe universe, the JU. We'll call it.
The Joeverse.
The GIJU.
Yeah, there you go. Speaking of something like that leads us into our number 4.
Yes. We don't have much to say about this other than how ridiculous it is. So Sony has regained control of Spider-Man, right? Is that right? Yeah. And then so now they have decided to create their own sort of universe of characters, and they just announced the name of that universe, which is the Sony Pictures Universe of Marvel Characters, also known as Spunk.
So SPUMC.
Yes.
The Sony Pictures Universe of Marvel Characters. Because they not even made it like an actual acronym. Like what?
I don't know. Well, that's what I mean because people call it the MCU or the DCU. So everybody abbreviates the the name of these things, so people are going to abbreviate this.
Oh my God!
People are going to call it the Spunk.
Sony is lucky that they have like the Spider-Man is on in both the regular Marvel universe and that, because they have not been able to make a run of this thing on its own.
Nope. And now they've just like totally trashed it by calling it something ridiculous. So they're not working with a full deck over there.
I love it.
Yeah, the Spunk. Yeah, so we just need to bring that up just because it's so ridiculous.
It's so dumb. Well, let's jump to the DCU for our number 5.
All right, DCU.
All right, so there's a new contender for Joker 2 to play Batman, which they were kind of playing around with Batman being in it, and it's not Robert Pattinson. There are people that are in contention for this, but apparently Aaron Paul's been thrown into the mix.
From Breaking Bad.
From Breaking Bad to possibly play Batman in the Joker 2.
Well, so this is really interesting because I watched an interview with Todd Phillips after the first movie came out.
Yep.
And people were talking about sequel and what would be in the sequel and stuff like that. And somebody asked him point blank, will Batman make an appearance? And he very clearly on camera said, Batman will never be a part of this story arc.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's happened.
This is again, it's a rumor, and I don't know where. It's weird that he would be, because even there's an age difference too, right?
Well,
because
that's the problem.
Because Batman was like, Bruce Wayne was just a little boy in the first Joker, so how would he be that much older? Like Aaron Paul's like 40, so
well, exactly, and the Joker was probably close to 40 in the Joker. Like, so I mean, he'd be in his 70s.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is like how close this is. This could be a COVID rumor.
It could be.
A fever dream of rumors that are coming out from the COVID era. But I don't know. I've read this on a couple sites, so I don't know if that's like how. I mean, he's just a contender at this point, so I don't know what they would do. Like, they'd be better off to get like the kid that was in Gotham. Like, that'd be more of the age that he would be. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah. So, but now this does hold with my theory. Remember, I had a theory when the movie came out.
Yes.
That Joaquin Phoenix was not the actual Joker.
Okay.
Remember this theory I had that like 90% of that movie took place in Joaquin Phoenix's head, like in I can't remember the character's name, but in his head as he's locked up in the asylum.
Yes.
That was my theory. So if that theory holds true, then Joaquin Phoenix wouldn't necessarily be the Joker to Aaron Paul's Batman. You know what I mean?
That's
true. There could be like somebody who's a follower or somebody who, you know, has like an apprentice from the asylum who breaks out and becomes the Joker, and then there is a Batman that's of the right age. So it could be that, maybe.
Or if he wasn't, if that was all in his head, maybe his one of the things he was imagining was maybe killing Batman before he became Batman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he's in the mental institution. He could be the Joker, but he could be like, this could be just a dream of what he wish would have happened as opposed to, you know what I mean? Like, so who knows?
And that could be too. If it's all revealed to be sort of in his head and like a fantasy, then the Batman could be any age. Like he could, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. This is very intriguing.
The other thing I find interesting in this whole thing is that there's a distinct, like, dividing line between the DC universe with the Robert Pattinson Batman, and this Joker is not included in that universe. They're two different, like they're two separate, like sort of. This is like the Joker verse.
Yeah.
There's a lot of verses going on.
There's a lot of verses. There's a lot. This is like the DCU has sort of started their like, what are they called? Like the Earth 1 and Earth 2 and
oh god, yeah, I know.
You know, so maybe this is what's going on. Maybe the Robert Pattinson's on Earth 2 and Joker's on Earth 25.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know.
They love their alternate universes in DC.
They sure do.
And Marvel loves its time travel. They have a lot of time, like Kang and that. They have a lot of time travel people, which is like.
That's right, and it all gets very confusing.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on half the time in any of these things. So
I have no idea, but this is an interesting rumor. I like rumors. Rumors are fun.
Yeah, they're fun to kind of play around with.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Do you think Batman should be in the Joker at all, like just in general, or do you think he should leave just as the Joker?
I believe that it should just be a Joker story. because I think they've got Robert Pattinson and they've got the Batman, so there's a Batman story happening.
Yeah.
But I think this one, because it was like it's a superhero movie without a superhero.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The first Joker. So I think once you add an actual superhero with abilities and that sort of thing, it changes the tone of the Joker. Like what they've got going so far.
Yep.
I feel like it should stay almost like in the real world and be just like a person who's gone crazy and is fantasizing these things or doing whatever it is
Yep.
that he's doing. But I don't know that it needs an actual superhero.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have that stay to the Batman side, and then this just be the Joker and his story.
Yeah, that was the best part of it. It was more like just a psychological study on anyone who just was like, just had gone like crazy, like basically like so. And whether the story was in his head or if it actually happened, it was an interesting story without all the superhero-ness of that, you know what I mean, that you have to put in there.
Yeah, it was almost refreshing.
Yeah, it was a really cool take on it.
Yeah, it was something different. So that's I kind of hope that they don't go back into the, introducing actual superheroes and other villains and things like that.
Yeah,
I'd rather just stick with Joker.
I would too.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to dig into this pop capacitor today?
Let's go back in time.
All right, here we go. Take a little walk here.
Oh, yeah.
We're in different cars, by the way, because we're socially distanced.
Yeah.
All right. I'm in the trunk. As easy as that.
Yep. And that's it. And then we're back in time.
And we're back. We are back. This is the Pop Capacitor, where we look back at an old TV show, a movie, a retro video game, whatever it is, a toy, and then we kind of re-review it and then say if it holds up.
That's right.
Essentially.
And this is a bit of a special one because as this is our 30th episode, we decided to go back 30 years to 1990 and see what we could find that was big at the time, or that not necessarily big, but just occurred at the time. And so we're honoring our 30th episode with a movie that is 30 years old this year. And what did we choose?
We chose Troll 2.
Yes, we did.
Now, I normally have a clip here to play of a trailer, but the trailer honestly has very little dialogue, no voiceover, and it's just a lot of people screaming and grunting. So
which is pretty much what the movie is.
Yeah, it wasn't a whole lot to choose from on that. So we're going to do we've got kind of two things. We'll kind of like, I don't know, like we won't review maybe the next one, but we're going to talk about Troll 2, but there was also a documentary called The Best Worst Movie about Troll 2.
Yeah.
So we'll probably make some reference to that or talk about that separately, but we'll kind of like get it all in here. Because it's an interesting take on something on this movie that it kind of opens your eyes to it. So Troll 2 basically is a sequel to Troll 1, but it's not really because it has nothing to do with Troll 1.
That's right.
And there's no trolls.
No. This movie's called Troll 2, and there's literally not a single troll in it. And I don't know. I still am not 100% sure why they called it Troll 2. I don't. That doesn't make. Originally, it was supposed to be called Goblin.
Yes.
Because there are goblins in it. There are no trolls, and so the original name was Goblin. And for whatever reason, they flipped it to Troll 2.
And from what I've read is that they used Troll 2, the company that was producing it, because it was available and there was already a Troll 1, so they thought this would do better under the name Troll 2.
Right.
And trolls and goblins are obviously the same thing.
Well, I suppose so, except that they physically refer to them as
goblins.
Goblins. I don't know why they just couldn't call them trolls.
And the other thing about this movie, so we picked this movie, but it's also deemed one of the worst movies of all time.
Yeah, which makes it even better.
Yes. So I think that's probably an accurate description.
I'd say so.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
I will say, though, off the top, I've seen a lot of bad horror movies, and this is like not the worst I've seen.
No, it is. I agree. It is not the worst. It's, I mean, quite honestly, The Room which is not a horror movie, is a worse movie than this.
Yeah, but I think what makes it like the worst movie, and I can see where it's coming from, is that a lot of times if a movie's bad, sometimes it's just bad, like it's just boring, or nothing happens, or it's just slow paced, or whatever the reason is, super low budget. Like this has some great moments in it that make it fun.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a fun bad movie because there's like constantly through the whole thing, there's either a good line or something visually happens that's funny, or it's just there's just so many moments in this movie which make it fun to watch from start to finish.
It's true, and it's like the delivery of the lines, and so what makes this movie funny is that nobody in this movie who appears on screen were professional actors.
No.
So the lead actor was a dentist. Like that was his job, and he would shoot this thing on like their shooting days, and in between shooting days, he'd have to go back home, back to his dental practice, and do dental surgery, and then on shooting days he'd leave and go back and shoot a few more scenes, and then go back and like that was the level of acting that a lot of these people had. Like some had done some acting before,
yeah, or were sort of like actor, like wanted to get into acting, or
yeah, but none of them were like seasoned actors.
No.
So that's really funny to start with, and then the other thing that makes this movie really funny is that the director and the writer are a husband and wife team from Italy, who in 1990 did not speak English.
Yes.
But the movie was shot in Utah, and so they wrote the script in broken English because they didn't speak English, so the actors could not figure out what the script actually meant, and then the director was trying to give direction to the English-speaking actors without being able to speak English.
Yeah, it was really weird. Like the whole thing is so bizarre, like how they made it. And which is a lot of that's in the best worst movie, which is a cool way of looking at these bad horror movies, essentially, right? Like,
yeah.
So in this movie, this family does like a home exchange.
Yes.
Which is like so. It's kind of like a student exchange, but they actually will exchange their full home with another family. So
for a month.
Yeah. So they're living on this farm. The other family lives in the city or wherever they came from.
Right. So
it's the parents, and then a daughter, and then a younger son, who's sort of like the main character in this, I guess. Like,
the younger son, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they move in there, and excuse me. But right off the top, you're introduced to this son who is being read a story, like a bedtime story, by his grandfather, who ends up died 6 months ago. So the young son can see the grandfather and interact with him and talk to him, but nobody else can because he died 6 months ago. And so he has this relationship with this grandfather throughout the thing. And because this, I don't know if this kid has like ESP or I don't know what it is, but the grandfather warns the grandson about these goblins that exist in this town that they've just moved to. But of course, nobody else believes him because the grandfather died 6 months ago.
Yeah,
so
and they also moved there, and also as a like another plot line, the daughter's boyfriend, who no one likes, and especially the viewers of the movie, him and his friends take some beautiful RV, which I don't know where they got.
I don't know.
Drive it to meet with her because she's mad at him because he didn't show up to go with them on this trip, and so then they kind of follow, and so they kind of get into this story as well.
Right. But their RV is parked in some jungle, like in the forest for some reason, while they live at their house. So I don't even know how the two of them know that they're like how they even know that they're together, like anywhere near each other. Because, but anyway, so yeah, so there's essentially two sort of storylines that are happening in this small town that's filled with the ugliest, like some of the worst makeup and costume effects I've ever seen. Like they're just gross to look at.
Yeah, I don't know. The goblins look like they're so weird looking, and it's so bizarre too because the goblins basically want to make people into plants so they can eat them because they're like vegetarian goblins.
That's right. They're vegetarian. It's overall, this whole movie, I realized, is a story about like treating animals properly. Like, you don't kill animals to eat them. Animals are okay. It's all about being good to the environment and eating plants. It's a vegetarian movie. Like, it's all about like pushing the vegetarian thing.
And the plant matter turns into like this green slime.
Yeah.
This gross, like almost looks like a mint toothpaste.
Yes.
It's really kind of what it looks like. And then so whenever they eat it, then they start turning into plants. So
yeah. So the people so there are a couple of scenes of special effects where the people turn into plants, and it's like actual physical like latex and stuff like that. It's not terrible.
No.
It's not terrible. But it's just weird. Like, it's just the whole thing is weird. Why, like, why do they have to eat them as plants? Why don't they okay? So they're also living in a farming community. Like, it's a rural community.
Yeah.
There will be tons of plant matter around. Like, why don't they just eat the corn
half the time they're running through the woods, like the goblins. So I don't know why they need to eat why they have to turn people into plants to eat them. And on top of that, there's also like a sort of like a goblin queen who is the most over-the-top actress I've ever seen in a movie. Like, I'm talking like over the top. I can't even describe how like Nick Cage is a finessed actor compared to this woman. Like she is so over the top.
It's like this. It's the quality of acting that you would see in a high school stage production where the lead actress is in like the 9th grade, is in grade 9.
Yes.
Like, never had been on stage before, and she looks like it too. She's supposed to be this like queen of the goblins, I guess, but I swear she's not more than like 15 years old. And the makeup that they put on her, they tried to make her look older, but it is so obviously just like some gray foundation and black around the eye. Like, they don't even try to make her look older.
She kind of reminds me of like a combination between someone who's like done a lot of stage like work and a Disney kid actor.
Yes.
Like, kind of mixed together. Like, so everything's really over the top, and everything she's like, she always has her eyes like really wide open, and then like she always reminds me of what's her face from the Are You Ready for My Close Up? Like that sort of like just over the topness.
Yeah, it's like they said, no, give me more, like more emotion, more like I want to see the veins in your neck, like strain as hard as you can to deliver every single line, whether it's required or not. So she like contorts her head and her face, and it is so badly directed. It is like
well, it's almost like some people are in like an actual horror movie, and she's in like Rocky Horror Picture Show or something. Like it's like she's in a different movie than everybody else is. It's like her direction was completely different. It's like be so over the top, like, and everybody else is just sort of like trying to play it like this is like really scary and like I don't know. She was a very odd character in this. Like, she was very strange, and it just she did not look the part. She didn't act the part. Like, she was just not. And I feel badly for her because obviously she was trying, but whatever direction she was given was just so bad. Yeah, it was horrible. There's a lot of scenes in this. And so, anyways, to make a long story short of the movie itself, if you haven't seen it, they get out of this situation by the end. It's like the grandpa sort of helps them out. They end up getting out. But within this movie is all sorts of great little like moments. Yeah. Like these scenes that are like kind of like, so one of them is the one friend with glasses, the Tolkien friend that has glasses, sees this woman getting eaten, and he yells, "Oh my God!" But this became a meme. Do you remember this? It was his face, and then the people would put meme things on, and it was like. But I remember him like in the movie, he's like, "Oh my God!" Like, it's just like totally like no emotion in the "Oh my God," but his face was actually used for a meme like years and years ago. I had totally forgotten about that. That's hilarious. So that the whole movie is a meme, really. Yeah. There's all these little pieces you can pick out, like the kid peeing on the food, so they won't eat it. Yeah, and then the father. So the family's about to eat this food that will turn them, but the grandfather warns the kid and says, "You've got 30 seconds
to get them to stop eating the food. I don't know why 30 seconds. I don't know why.
Well, he froze time for some
but
reason. I know he
froze
had that
time.
power. Like,
the ghost slows time, or freezes them. They're frozen at the table, but he still only has 30 seconds. And yet, if you time out the scene, it's probably about 2 minutes long. By the time he figures out how to get them to stop eating the food, and the only thing he could come up with, rather than like the scene is frozen, everybody's frozen. He could have just literally taken the food out of their hands and destroyed it.
yeah.
But instead, he stands up on a chair and unzips his pants and like decides to pee on the food. Why? Why would you? Why?
Seems like a viable option. Well, apparently the director told him he wanted to make the scene like bigger and more like have more impact. So he told the kid to that he's going to pretend to pee on it, and he's like, "What?"
It's just so wrong. But it's just but scenes like that have become iconic. Like they're that's why this movie has risen to cult status, because there are scenes like that are so ridiculous and so laughable that it's really fun to watch.
And right after that scene's the one where the dad scolds him, puts him into bed and says, and he looks like he's gonna take his belt off to whip him, but he actually is just tightening his belt because he's gonna because he ruined the food, they're all gonna starve because of it. So he's
so he wants to tighten his belt so he doesn't feel the hunger pains. Like what? That's not a thing. That's not the way it works.
There was also too the town they go to is called NILBOG, which is goblin backwards.
That's right. Which the kid discovers by seeing the name of the town on a sign in a window, so it's in reverse, and he instantly realizes it's goblin, except that the letters are still backwards. So a kid of 10 years old would not recognize that that's what that word was, because it's still backwards in a mirror or in a window. It took me a second to be like, what? Oh yeah, I guess it does say goblin.
I don't know why I didn't figure that out when he first said it, but
I don't know.
And then there was he throws a bologna sandwich at the goblins.
Yep. Well, because the goblins don't like meat. They are supposed to eat meat. So one of the best scenes in the whole movie is the ghost grandfather gives the kid a backpack and says, "Don't open it until you absolutely need to." Well, first of all, how do you know when you need to if you don't know what's in it?
Yeah.
But anyway, he finally is in a situation where he needs to open it, and he opens it up, and it's a bologna sandwich.
A double decker.
A double-decker bologna sandwich, and this thing totally destroys the goblins because they can't stand the sight of meat, and that's what the ghost decided to give him, was a bologna sandwich.
I had to look that up on Wikipedia because I didn't understand what was going on. I was like, what's going on here? And then I didn't understand how they beat the goblins at the end. So I had to read up to find out what they did, and it didn't even really say. So it was
well, but they don't really there's not a clear victory at the end.
Yeah.
The movie ends and really nothing has changed. It's very weird. It's the strangest thing. So then we watched the documentary, the best worst movie.
Yes.
Which was really interesting because so the documentary was made 17 years after the movie came out. And it was produced by the little boy, the little kid who starred in it, grew up and decided that he wanted to make this movie because he had these terrible memories of watching it. And all of the actors were just devastated when this thing came out because it was so bad. So he decided that he wanted to sort of see where everybody was and capture what was going on. And he found out that it has become this massive international cult phenomenon.
Yeah.
And they have midnight screenings, and they sell out theaters all over the world, and they have conventions, and it's a massive thing, and that he didn't realize. So he gathered together the entire cast, and it turns out that the cast are weird.
They're all over the board.
They are some strange people. They're weirder than the characters who they play.
Some of them are. Life. Yep.
Yeah.
The mum is.
The mum is. I don't know if you have ever seen the documentary Grey Gardens.
Yeah, with the women that live in the house.
Yeah,
Yeah, like they're like I don't know if they're actresses, but they're related to like one of the Kennedys or something.
that's right. Yeah, and they were actresses, but now they're older, and they're literally like senile, like they're crazy. This is what the mother of the mother who played the actress who played the mother is like a very like not well person.
Well,
And
I knew that because everybody in the movie that has to talk about the movie is saying how embarrassing it was, and they were like if they were trying to act at all, they wanted to get it off their resume, and it was like, and then when they asked her about it, she's like, oh, it was wonderful. It was a magic, and it was like.
I don't know if she's actually seen it.
I don't know if she had either. Like I wasn't sure.
No, and then there's another character who plays the owner of a general store, who it turns out at the time of the shooting of this movie was actually in an institution.
Yeah, he was on a day pass.
He was on a day pass and managed to somehow get to the set and was hired and did his part while he was like on a day pass from living in the institution. And he said that he used to smoke so much pot to escape from things, that he was so high and so crazy at the time that he had no idea what he was doing. Like he didn't know what the movie was about. He didn't know what any of the other actors were doing. So when you see his performance on screen, like his craziness is real because he didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah, it's the one thing in the doc which kind of made me laugh, only because it was just dated, was that there's a lot of references to MySpace.
Yes, because it came out in 2007, I think.
That's sort of dated the doc. But what I found interesting in it. So you've got this movie, everybody comes back, like, or at least gets refound again, but it really shows like a cult, how like there's a cult following the movies, but they're very nichey. Yeah. Because so at the beginning they start going to these like people have organized these like Troll 2 sort of like things like these festivals or like a night where they watch the movie and then the actors come and talk about it after the fact. Yeah. But then they go to like a horror convention, which is sort of all horror, and like there's nobody coming to their table and nobody knows the movie and no one cares about the movie. And they do one of those like panels and there's like nobody in the audience. And it kind of shows the sadness of some of that as well on the other flip side of like some of these people that are in these movies that get brought to these like Comic-Cons and that. Like, and they're just a niche. They're a very niche sort of group.
Yeah, it's true, and I never really thought about that before. But like, if you were having like a specific screening for this movie or The Room, or you know what I mean, like these cult movies, people would flock to them. Like people would go and fill up a theater because it's just that. Yeah. So you'd only get fans who are there for that. Yeah. But once you put those same stars in a big convention center with other celebrities, majority of the people who show up aren't going to have any idea who they are. So these actors get this false sense of like fame. They think they're like massive stars because these small little viewing parties sell out. Yeah. But then like the big conventions where they show up, nobody has any idea who they are. And it was sad. Like at one point they showed this and the lead actor was at this convention and decided to leave. He's like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like nobody's talking to me. I don't like this. I'm packing up. And they packed up like in the middle of the convention and left.
Yeah, and it's funny because prior to that they had gone to like some very specific Troll 2 events like in a city where you can draw more people that are just interested in that. And so it was like a party and everybody's like, oh, they're like bowing to them practically because they're so excited about this movie. But then they go to a convention where they're not really the focus. Yeah. And then they see what it probably is for a lot of these celebrities from these movies or people that have been in them at least. It's a different life, right? Like it's kind of funny to see both sides of it. I liked how they did that in the documentary.
And we've had that experience, like you and I, when we've gone to conventions, because we we like the cult movies and the smaller movies. So when we see these actors, we're like pretty excited. But we always comment on how they never have lineups. Like they never, like for example, Fan Expo a couple of years ago, the twins from The Shining, the two little girls from The Shining were there. And I was so excited because Shining is one of my favorites and those twins are so scary. And I was so excited to go and meet them. And so I did. I went up and talked to them. There was nobody in their line. Like, nobody at all was interested in meeting these two people. So I got to talk to them for like 10 minutes. but then nobody else was there. I'm like, but they were a big part of that movie. But unless you know that movie, nobody cares.
Yeah, or
So,
it's just they're just not as important to someone who like kind of likes the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's just where it, like I've seen Troll 2. I kind of like it, so I'm not really that interested. I'd be more interested in meeting them now that I've seen the doc.
yes.
Like I'd be much more interested in it as like now that I've seen it, but I have more of an invested interest in it. But I can see why like some of them are like, yeah, it's cool they're here, but I don't know like how important that is for me to meet them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
and spend money to get an autograph.
but it was interesting. The doc was an interesting, just a different look into that whole like the cult phenomenon of a movie and how there's like people that are just completely insane about it, like dressing up as characters and quoting lines, and then you got people that are just like, I know of it or I don't know of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just sort of it really ranges because it shows how nichey a movie can be.
Yeah, that was really interesting, and it shows what the actors go through.
Yeah, I found it really interesting, but yeah, it was cool. I thought the whole thing was cool. As bad as they say it is, I thought, you know what, I've seen worse horror movies. I wouldn't call it the worst movie of all time, but I thought it was a fun movie because it was bad.
Yes, and yeah, it's hilarious bad. Like I've seen movies that are bad that you just are like, this is not fun. Like I'm not even enjoying watching this.
Yeah.
That Troll 2 is fun to watch because it's humorously bad. Like it's so over the top bad that it's really fun.
Yeah. The one thing I will mention though that I did not find fun is in the documentary they brought the actual director in.
Oh yeah.
That was so awkward. Like, cause the actors would be talking about, like, you know, the crowd, like, you know, how they didn't get the scripts the day before and this, and he kept yelling things out like, that's a lie. Like, and things. And I'm like, oh my God, this is scary.
You're remembering wrong. He's awful. Like I can't even imagine what it was like to work under him.
Yeah.
But he was like nasty. Like he was in a convention, like yelling at the actors, saying that they don't remember it. Yes, they all got the scripts. Yes, their direction was good, and all the actors are like, I don't remember it like that. But all the actors agreed. So obviously that's the case.
Yeah.
But this guy couldn't accept that he did a bad job. Like he still thinks it's a good movie, and he's like, I've directed 24 movies in English, and they're all great, and they're all like, this guy was like a jerk.
Yeah, but I found too, there's a sadness as well about it because I felt bad that they're all cutting up this movie as a big joke, and then yet there's something he produced and he's maybe proud of, and doesn't see it that way. You know what I mean? So there's another perspective there that I kind of ended up feeling a little bit bad for him. Like they kind of almost brought him in a way where he was gonna get like kind of like torn apart. You know what I mean? And it was kind of almost, some of it was a bit unnecessary. Like, I don't know.
It was, but I feel like at this point, like 17 years later, at that time it was 17 years later, I feel like he should have embraced the fact that this movie is what it is. Because I keep going back to The Room. Like Tommy Wiseau, who directed it and wrote it, and it's a terrible movie, but it's the same cult status. He's embraced the fact that this movie is like a comedy now. Like it's
he literally said now suddenly it's a dark comedy, whereas before it was supposed to be a serious movie.
Yeah, so he's embraced that. So when people talk about it and laugh about the lines and stuff like that, he accepts that and he laughs along with it. But this director has not accepted it.
No.
No, so he's just angry. Like it was very uncomfortable to watch this director dealing with all of this.
Yeah. It was very odd, but anyways, yeah, I'd say I give Troll 2 a thumbs up. It's worth a watch. Like it is a fun movie. Go into it knowing you're gonna have fun watching it because it's just like it's got a campiness to it and a lot of great lines and a lot of just like weird scenes where you're like, what's going on in this? Like I give it a thumbs up. I think it's fine. I even ordered it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I was going to do. I'm gonna look up and see if I can find it.
I got it. End up getting it on DVD with Troll 1. It's like
right.
That's the other thing too. I noticed, which is kind of funny. I was putting as a side note, but on the cover, because we've been talking a bit about covers of movies, on the cover of Troll 2, on the version like that, one of the original poster versions, it shows the kid at the bottom of the stairs, and it shows like a werewolf with an axe, which like that does not happen in the movie. Like, when was there a werewolf in it?
That is hilarious.
Like, look at the cover of it when you look it up on Amazon. There's like
Really?
there is a newer cover that has like kind of like the trolls on it or whatever. They're supposed to be the goblins.
Goblin.
But the original poster has like a werewolf like in the shadows. You can see its silhouette with an axe in its hand.
That is hilarious.
It's almost like they didn't know what the movie was about, so they just made like a generic sort of scary-looking cover.
Yep. I don't think anybody actually knew what the movie was about.
I don't think anybody did. Even people making it, like no one even in it knew what it was about. So.
No, but it was but it is definitely highly recommended. Like if you can rent it on iTunes right now, or you can find it places. But if you haven't seen it, you should absolutely check it out, because there are memorable lines, there's quotable lines, and you've never seen anything like this. It's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. If you can watch the documentary, do so. I watched it on YouTube. It's in Spanish.
Oh, yes.
Well, it's got Spanish subtitles, but it's like you can still see it. So it's like,
Yeah,
that's good.
It's still there. It's called The Best Worst Movie. So you can look that up after you watch it, but highly recommend it.
Awesome. So that's it for the show. Anything you want to add in before we go?
No, I think we're good. I think we've covered absolutely everything there is to cover.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, stay home, stay safe, and we'll see you next time on Loop and Larry, Guardians of Geek.
Produced by Matthew C. Loop and Lawrence Simner. A Loop and Larry production.
Bueller.
He likes it. Hey, Mikey.
Bueller.
Bad news. Fog is getting thicker.
And Leon's getting larger.
Inconceivable. Brian's right. It's an elf.
Wax on.
Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Wax off.